Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Why Not. Why did that sound like that? That is so weird. I'm doing back-to-back recordings because I can. You'll have waited an extra week for this one. But I'm on a roll. We're going to keep going. And this episode is 191. I don't know why I'm being so weird. Maybe this is why I should not do back-to-back recordings. But what I do want to talk about is something that's been showing up in my life a lot. And honestly, like for years. And it's just, I don't know, especially lately. I don't know. Do you know what it is? I'm kind of inspired from the last episode because we were talking about like dealing with stress and stuff like that, and like wanting to be able to get things done and stuff. But it came up at some point that like the idea was like you needing clarity before you take action. Okay, and look, I feel like I say if I used to think if I planned hard enough, like that will be fine, long enough, thoroughly enough. And then I'd feel ready. But at the end of the day, I actually never really did the planning. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. It's like, it was more like I have all these ideas, but I won't actually commit to doing them. And maybe I would have got things done sooner if I committed to creating the clarity. But I was one of those people who very much was like, said I was going to do a lot of things, but didn't really do any of it. I feel real comfortable like shifting around, going like, oh my god, thinking about this. Like it wasn't a case of I was like one of those Uber planners. It was like if I don't put any effort into it, then like if I can pretend, like you can almost convince yourself that you've tried things by like thinking about it. But like if you don't actually put your full effort into it, you can't be upset if you fail. And that's some clarity that I got right there. I think it's come up before as well, though, in my head a little bit. But I suppose it makes you realize as well, like clarity doesn't come from thinking, because you can think all you want, you won't get anywhere. But it does come from moving and like actually doing it and actually taking steps, because the only time I've actually gone towards what I wanted to do was when I actually made some moves. And like doing the thing and making the mistakes and getting yourself into the actual work. Like this doesn't necessarily need to be like career wise. This could be like sports, or taking a step of a relationship, or going out and finding a relationship or making friends. Like these are all things that like we can overthink without like ever actually doing anything about. So that's kind of like what I'm going to get into today. We're going to talk about overthinking. I'm going to talk about action, fear, and why starting messy is actually the smartest thing to do. That sounded really cool, didn't it? But anyway, look, I want to take it back a little bit for a second. I think some people know, some people don't. It depends when you started listening to this podcast. I've spoken about it before. I've spoken about my social media as well. I haven't done it for a long time. So for anyone who's kind of newer, this might be news to you. But when I finished college, I did communication studies. So basically did media. I also specialized in audio production, which is quite funny. But I got the degree. I got a second class honors. Like I did well. Half arse in it, but I did well. But like halfway through the course, I realized like I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. It wasn't for me. But like, I'm not disappointing my parents and dropping out of college. And I could get by pretty well. Which I realized, I'm maybe a last minute person, but I am very good at bullshitting, and you need to be able to bullshit to go to a communications course. But I didn't change course. I kept going, even though I didn't want to do it. I was like halfway through, I may as well finish. I just didn't have the confidence to step up and say I don't actually want to do this. But like, it's kind of funny now here I am, like over 10 years later, and I do work in media, and I do a lot of media content creation, and I have a podcast, which is audio production. Um, and I have interviewed people I've never spoken to. I've talked to strangers at things, and believe me, I couldn't even stand up in front of a class and do a presentation when I was in college. I used to shake. It was terrifying. I couldn't talk. I was very, very bad at making friends in college. I still have a few college friends there, but I wouldn't speak to anyone there. And by the way, if you're an introvert, it's dangerous to go to a communications course because a lot of the people there are very extroverted. There were a lot of actors, a lot of singers, a lot of, I don't know. I'm going to be famous. I don't know how, but I will be. At the time, I found that really irritating. Now I'm like, fair play to them. They knew what they wanted to do and they went for it. And a lot of them are doing really well now because they knew and they were clear. They had clarity what they wanted to do. And they were actually taking college by the hands and working into it as opposed to be me who wasn't doing anything and judging all them for like, because obviously I was jealous of them. Like, let's be honest, I wasn't doing it because I was any better than them. And if I was, I'd probably have a completely different career by now. But what actually happened was I ended up working in a jeweler's. Um, I worked in retail for 3 years, which was fine. You know, working there was grand. Christmas is horrible. I'm never working in retail on Christmas again. Um, and you know, I met some actually other really good friends through that job that I'm still in contact with today. So I'm really glad that I did work there. But like, it wasn't for me. Multiple reasons. But you know, by the end of it, you are kind of going through the motions. And one thing I knew I loved, and I've loved for a long time, and I started training in gyms when I was like 18, and I was a real sporty kid as well. I was a real tomboy, so done all the sports, not well, but I love fitness, and I kind of love teaching as well, and I love educating, but I don't like children. Sorry, guys. Like I do, their reviews are nice, but I don't think I could work with them full time. Kids are lovely. Some of my friends have kids. They're real cool. I sound so sarcastic saying that, but I do mean that. Like, it's not really working with kids, not for me. I don't have the patience for it. But working with adults is completely different. And one of the reasons being is, even though they don't listen to you a lot, one of the reasons being is I find adults easier to deal with because obviously they're fully cognizant, they know their brain is fully developed, but also a lot of the time when an adult comes to you, classes or whatever, they are doing it because they want to, not because they're being made to. And that makes a massive difference because they are more likely to listen to you and try and follow your instruction because they are invested in going. So putting those two together, I decided I wanted to do a PT course. And I did that while I was working full time still. I did it at night. To be fair, it's not a long course, it's quite easy to do. But I still it's a hard business to get into. It still is a hard business to get into. So initially what I was doing was I was working in the both jobs basically. I was kind of evenings in the gym, daytime in the jewelers. And then eventually there came a time where I could earn enough. I would take a hit on what I was earning, but I could earn enough to leave. And that's what I did. And the thing is, again, it was a case of it took so long for me to make that leap into a new career because, you know, I had to plan it and over plan it, you know. And when you don't have, I suppose, certainty, it's very hard to make a decision. So I did struggle to just go and this is what I want to do. And a lot of the thing as well is there's a lot of self-employed work in PT, whereas I had a steady wage and that was kind of, you know, holding me there as well, like, you know, and it was also messy, but we did make the jump eventually. What we're seeing here is it takes me a long time to make these movements. You know, I'd like to say I'm a professional planner, but I'm more so a professional overthinker. Even now, there's things that I've wanted to do, and it takes me ages to actually just pull the trigger. And, you know, I could make the lists, I could prep, I research, yeah. I listen to podcasts and everything. You know, the amount of value I've gotten from podcasts that I've not used is unreal. Um, make mental lists really, for years I was like, I really want to move abroad, but did I do any in like research into how to do that up until a year ago? No. Did I actually put any like things down for me to save money? No. Did I research places? Nope. So it was kind of like this dream I kept in this little box, like this is what I'm gonna do, I'm really happy that I'm saying this from France because I actually managed to do that. But like, it's safe, isn't it? Like you keep it there as a little goal, because actually doing something about it means risk, and that can result in failure. And that's sometimes scarier. And I know we've talked about as well, like what if it does work out? Which is a really interesting concept as well that people can struggle with that we don't even realize, and like even when I did finally plan and I researched everything and things were going like this is what I was going. I was going to Spain originally, I was going to different places in Spain and then couldn't afford different places. And then there was still so many last minute changes. You know, person I was going with Spain, we broke up. So I decided I was gonna keep going. So I was like, I'm going to France. And I was supposed to I had all my trains fully planned out with enough time in between each train to get to Perpignan from Paris. So from Cherbourg, because I had to get a ferry because I couldn't just fly because it's cold. And sure, a train broke down. I ended up having to spend the night in Paris. It cost me extra money, but you know what? At the end of the day, we were safe. Best laid plans don't always work out. So even if I had been spending years and years planning on what I wanted to do instead of overthinking and just thinking or like not planning, dreaming of what I was going to do, it still goes to shit. So you may as well do it when it's kind of halfway there, and then you'll figure it out on the way. Like that's what happened when I got stuck in Paris for a night. I just figured out on the way, and I suppose this did kind of like teach me that, I should have learned this years ago, but like clarity doesn't come from planning the perfect path. It comes from actually just taking the step. Like I just said there, you have to figure it out as you go. And you'll never get clear on where you want to do if you don't take any of that action. Because one of the things I think people don't think about when it comes to failure is it's like not necessarily like a fail, it's feedback. So if you take a step and you're like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, fine. Now what do I do instead? Do I continue? Do I try something new? Or do I try something completely different? You've got feedback. You now know I don't want to do that. Or maybe this isn't right for me. And then every time you have some feedback to like figure it out from, Um, you know, a lot of big things don't come from having a master plan. Now I'm just saying that there, like, and all the entrepreneur people will say that, they go for it. That's why they're so successful. It's people like me who are busy making up my imaginary plans to get nowhere. And a lot of people, to be fair, like, and even when you don't think you're ready, like, just take it. Like, I remember when I first joined doing stuff with grassroots, like, I wrote a few articles for them and I was invited to join some of the production team. And I had very little experience. Like I'd done a bit of social media, I'd done some fun stuff, like I was creative, but realistically, I had no idea what it was at. Like, and the opportunity came and I was like, why wouldn't I do this? Like I suppose I never even thought about I shouldn't do this. I was like, yeah, let's go for it, and it really taught me so much in the last like couple of years. I still do writing from time to time, but I was part of the media team promoting the Grassroots Writer Academy, which has over 2 million views now. I was one of the hosts. I didn't feature much in it, but I got the experience of being there. And that's something that like that's invaluable, that experience. And learning what it's like to be on a TV show that like or a show and working for 3 days straight to get everything done and the long days and fighting over areas and you know, trying to get a word in edgeways with one of the hosts. I'm joking. But you know, it was so worth it, and I learned so much from there, and I've learned things that I can carry on into my own career now, and ways of interviewing and stuff like that, which I wouldn't have learned if I'd not done that, you know. Um, and it is proof that the only way to find out if something's right for you is to do it. And like that literally ignited a fire in me, and I absolutely love media work and social media work, and that's all I want to do now. You know, I wouldn't know that if I didn't do that. And I wouldn't, thinking about it, wouldn't have gotten there, you know. Um, so like, to be fair as well, as I said, I could be overthinker of the year, you know, like I could definitely win some awards, and I deserve some at this point. But I do know how to stop myself a bit quicker now. And it's like it's the same as the stress situation, you know. And I still do take too long to do things, to actually take that jump and go for it, you know. But those same questions, like listening to that worry, listening to that fear, and like asking yourself, like, why do I feel like this? You know, always really important to ask, like, is it really true? And I did say this in the last episode, but I'm reiterating them because they come up over and over again when it comes to different emotions that we try to bury and hide. And if we don't, actually, if we actually sorted it or like dealt with it, we could make such a big difference in our life, you know? Like, what's stopping me? Like, is there actually something in the way, or is this like you stopping yourself? And what little steps can you do to get out of your head? Could it be opening your laptop and starting to write? That could be writing about what you're feeling or trying to create something. Could it be getting out for a walk? Could it be messaging a friend? Like there's so many different things that you can do that can change your trajectory if you're an overthinker, you know? Like I have journaled. Sometimes I do journal. To be fair, I have my little head plan and I write out every week what I want to do and what I want to achieve. Um I'm not a meditator. I just don't have the patience for it. And I'm sure it is great for people, but like go for it, you know. But I do talk to myself. And you know, you just have to acknowledge and talk to yourself, and you have to be willing to. And sometimes I do it out loud and I sound like an idiot, but sometimes even getting the vocal out, it's like you're expelling it. If you don't have someone to talk to, you can talk to yourself. Just be careful. So like I will tell people, but I have a lot of time and therapy and practice of actually learning to focus on my emotions. Because if you are talking to yourself and all you're doing is dragging yourself down and telling yourself you're horrible, you're going to get nowhere. You need to be able to ask the questions, answer them, and move forward with them. That's really, really important and really important to tell you, you know? Like, what's one quick thing that I can do that moves this forward? Like, what is the next thing you can do to push yourself in the direction you want to go? And there's often very, very simple things that can be done. And once you do that, you started the momentum, you know. It doesn't have to be a big non-negotiable routine. I always find that word non-negotiable. Even though I have non-negotiables, I find it like a weird thing sometimes. I don't know why. You don't have to do a big ritual either. Like, you know, people have like these massive morning routines and stuff like that. You don't have to do any of that. You know, like what I try to do sometimes is like I sometimes like I have to start at 7:15, so I have to start at 7, or I have to, you know, on the dot. Um and then it's like I can doom scroll until that point and then phone down, let's go. And often it works. And it's the same thing sometimes in the morning. You know, when I wake up, my alarm, I always snooze my alarm at least once. But like I'd be like, right, and I literally like fling myself out of bed. I don't um easily get up, whatever, and straight for the coffee. As in like that's my get me moving, get me working. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case I need coffee to move. It's just it's my little ritual, I suppose. And you know what? It's not perfect, but it works. Like the truth is, like as well, the reason we want clarity before we act is because we're scared. And I know this because I'm, as I said, professional overthinker. Um, and like we think if we plan enough, we can prevent things from going wrong. But like I literally told you the Paris story, and that was planned to a T. I'd everything. I'd gone through it so many different times to make sure I had everything correct, and I still went. And the amount of times I can look at that from once where I've booked the tickets. And it's just not how life works. Like, you can't outplan fear. Like, you're just going to delay the moment that you have to face it. And that's a fact. Like, it's still going to be there no matter how much you do. The messy start is the only real start. Um, it it's the one that you like. It teaches you the most. And where you learn what you're actually made of. And then often the times that you laugh at later on, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I managed that. Um, because like, you are never 100% ready. It doesn't matter what it is, like moving house, changing jobs, starting a relationship, having kids. You're never going to be 100% ready. Like, there's so many different things that can and will go wrong. And you'll learn on the job. But if you're waiting for that perfect moment that feels like clear and safe, you're going to be waiting forever. Um, and while you wait, life is going to keep moving on. So don't let life pass you by, because it's going to happen with or without you. So you really need to make sure that you're part of it too, you know? And that's something I wish, if there's one thing I wish I'd known sooner, it's like progress isn't linear as well. I know everyone talks about it, like, but it is a fact. Like, I've even noticed this constantly. Like, you will move forward and then backwards, and then you'll fight a leap, and then you'll fall flat, and then you'll doubt yourself halfway through doing something that you were sure about 5 minutes ago. Um, but doesn't mean you're failing. Like, it doesn't mean you're broken. It's just the way life is. And the curveballs are just literally part of life. They don't mean stop. They just mean adjust. So if you are stuck, like, and you're overthinking, and you're really trying to plan it all perfectly before you move, take this as your sign. Okay. Start before you're ready. Start scared, but start. Because clarity, it doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. Um, and take this from, as I said, world's biggest overthinker. You have to just take action, or you'll be stuck in a spiral forever and life will keep passing you by. I'm going to leave it at that, because I feel like I'm getting fierce preachy now. But I hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave a review or comment or message me on Instagram if you enjoyed it. You will find me on Instagram and TikTok. It is at @strongsaddle_ at the end, because somebody got there first on Instagram, but I got there first on TikTok, so there was no underscore in @strongsaddle. My website is also www.chrissyhawkins.com. But yeah, all feedback, love to hear it. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and yeah, have a great day. And I can't wait to see. Tell me, comment on what things you're going to make a move on and start working towards. I want to see that. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.